Have you ever stopped to think about what connects every single living thing on this planet? It's this invisible code, a kind of biological blueprint that lays out the design for everything, from the smallest bacteria to the biggest blue whale. Today, we're going to dive into that amazing code of life.
And it all really starts with a question I think we've all wondered about. Why do you look like your parents, but you're not a perfect copy? Why is it that family resemblance is a thing, but so is being unique?
Well, the secret is all packed into something called DNA. The best way to think about it is like a master blueprint. It's got all the instructions for building a body, and it's the stuff that gets passed down from one generation to the next.
So when you boil it all down, reproduction, life making more life, is really all about one crucial job: making copies of that blueprint.
So how does a cell pull this off? It's a pretty wild process. First, you've got your cell with its one set of DNA plans. Then, a whole bunch of chemical reactions kick off to build an entirely new copy of that DNA. But that's not all. The cell also has to make copies of all the other machinery it needs to function, and only then, once everything is duplicated, can it finally split into two new similar cells.
Okay, but that brings up a really important question. After all that work, are those two new copies 100% identical? Perfect clones? And the answer, which might surprise you, is nope. See, nothing at this tiny molecular level is ever absolutely perfect. No biochemical reaction is totally foolproof, so every single time DNA gets copied, tiny little variations, you can think of them like typos in the text, inevitably sneak in.
Now, these little typos are basically the fuel for nature's two main strategies for making new life. On one hand, you've got asexual reproduction. With just one parent, these typos are the only new thing being introduced, so change happens really slowly. But then you've got sexual reproduction, and that's a total game changer. By mixing and matching the blueprints from two different parents, it massively speeds up how fast new combinations and variations can be created.
So, what's the big deal? Why do these little mistakes and genetic shuffles matter so much? Well, because in the story of life, variation isn't a bug. It's the most important feature. It is quite literally the key to survival.
Honestly, you can think of variation as nature's ultimate insurance policy. A group of animals might be perfectly suited for its environment. It's niche. But as we know, environments can change in a heartbeat. A sudden deep freeze, a new disease, anything. Now, if every single creature were an identical clone, one bad event could wipe them all out. But because there's variation, a few of them might just happen to have a random trait that helps them survive. And when they do, they pass that life-saving trait on, making sure the species itself can keep going no matter what gets thrown at it.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the tiny, invisible variations happening right